meet the challenge of the best of black history. That line actually says in the Greek, the accidental life is not a life of the human. Black folk have been wrestling with the question, what does it mean to be human? And that's the question for every person, no matter what color, culture, civilization, no matter what sexual orientation or national identity. What does it really mean to be human? My God, it's difficult to wrestle with that question in such a fast-paced, market-driven culture, isn't it? We wrestle with stimulation, titillation, whether we're going to get a job, what people think of us, what is our status, what is our reputation. No, this is what does it mean to be human? Who are you really when you take off the mask? Who are you really when you're not just enacting the same routine in order to be approved by others? What does it mean to be human? You know, our English word human derives from the Latin humando. What does humando mean in Latin? It means burying, burial. Mean to be a featherless, two-legged, linguistically conscious creature born between urine and feces. That's who we are. Put on my three-piece suit if I want to and act like I'm so big and bad, teaching in New Jersey. But if it wasn't for my mama's love push to get me out, I wouldn't be here. That's true for you too. I'm glad to hear University of North Texas, but don't forget about Mama and her love push. You wouldn't be here. Spent last weekend working with a young genius named Bootsy Collins. On an album together with Raheem Devon, actually. That's a new album coming out. 2 weeks. Bulletproof. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, I'm blessed to work with those two artists. Bootsy, of course, towering genius, and I invoke him at this moment because if you're dealing with your mama's push, it means we all emerge in the funk. So don't confuse George Clinton and James Brown and Bootsy Collins being just superficial entertainers. They're part of black history. Black history likes to keep it funky. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the stink, the stench, the funk. That's where the raw stuff of history. That's where the love is. That's where the struggle is. That's where hope is forged. That's why in American history, you got to talk about the funk of American history. You don't want a deodorized version of the history. Look at the U.S. Constitution, grand institution, absolutely no reference to the institution of slavery. You end up fighting a civil war over an institution not invoked in your Constitution. That's called deodorization. Don't want to keep track of the fault of 22% of the inhabitants of the 13 colonies who were enslaved, let alone our precious red brothers and sisters, our indigenous brothers and sisters, whose babies are just as precious and priceless as little Cornel or a little white precious baby, or brown precious baby, or yellow precious baby. All of those babies, no matter what color, precious. Let's keep track of all of them. Black history says, yes, we're going to wrestle with the question of what it means to be human. Acknowledging to love wisdom, as Montaigne, the great Catholic philosopher, the very inventor of the genre we call the essay, said to philosophize is to learn how to die. When you actually keep track of the funk of history, it means you have to muster the courage to learn how to die by raising questions about yourself. And when you raise questions about yourself, you have to give up certain assumptions and let go of certain presuppositions. And anytime you give up certain assumptions about yourself, that's a form of death. In order for you to be reborn into somebody more mature, somebody more compassionate. I tell my students at Princeton, every year, of course, that I teach, and they class. I said, it's good that Steve, you are here to learn how to die. And we're going to keep it funky. That's what you're talking about, brother. I said, yes. Seneca says, he or she who learns how to die unlearns slavery. Because there's some things inside of us that need to die. White supremacy inside of us, all colors, needs to die. Male supremacy inside of us needs to die. Straight privilege, vis-a-vis our gay brothers and lesbian sisters, needs to die. Keep track of the humanity. You know why? Because we all want to be culinary delight of terrestrial worms one day very soon, and they're shot for cremation. That's funky too. The worm waiting for us. Shakespeare understood it. Remember that wonderful scene where the most sophisticated of all protagonists in Western literature, Hamlet, goes eye to eye, toe to toe, and soul to soul, only with one figure, the grave digger. Shakespeare, he understood what it means to wrestle with what it means to be human. Black history, at its best, the same question. What it means to be human. William Butler Yeats, our dear Irish brother, probably the finest poet in English language of the 20th century, used to say it takes more courage to examine the dark corners of your own soul than it does for a soldier to fight on the battlefield. Talking about courage. This is very important these days. Very important these days. We're not just talking about being smart. We're not just talking about being brainy. We're talking about being courageous as you are smart and brainy. That's why Socrates is so very important in understanding black history. The gift of black people is a Socratic gift. America, do you have the courage to examine yourself and come to terms with your underside, your night side, the funk in your history? Because if you're not, chickens will come home to roost, you know. You're going to reap what you sow. In the rinse. So the water's going to come out in the rinse. Sooner or later, this is true for our individual lives, isn't it? You lie to yourself, the truth crushed the earth shall rise again. It's true for persons, it's true for nations, it's true for empires. So anytime you talk about black history, you're looking at history from the vantage point of those who have been often rendered invisible, but whose truth must be wrestled with. And keep in mind, the condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak. To allow suffering to speak. And sooner or later, suffering peoples, the voices of the suffering, will come to the surface. This is why you come to a grand place like University of North Texas. You come to what? Engage in what the Greeks call paideia, P-A-I-D-E-I-A, deep education, which is learning how to die. Now, that's different than schooling.